What's up, YouTube? Cheers for a sit-down video today. I know that was a little awkward, but I am sitting down cheersing with you guys. This is my iced coffee that I'm drinking out of a blender bottle. So, and I also just realized I have a lamp on the floor back there that probably looks really odd, but it's because I had to use the stand that it was on for something else temporarily, but I realized that looks a little strange. But we are sitting down today and we are talking about my prep journey so far, and more specifically just the process of becoming lean. For me, leaning out the glutes, that has been my toughest spot to lean out. Oh my god, everybody has that one spot, and my glutes have been that one spot for me that just like, I'm super lean everywhere else, and then my glutes, they're like, they still need to lean out. But we're slowly getting there. I'm sitting down today. It is July 19th, so I am 12 days out from my next competition, Battle of the Bodies in Fort Lauderdale. So I just checked in with my coach today, and we are, like I said, I don't know if I just said 12 days out or 2 weeks out, but I am officially 12 days out. I am going to insert the video of what he gave me as my feedback today. I'll insert a little clip here.
Well, first of all, let's just get to the good stuff. You are quite a bit leaner. The top of your glute is striating. The bottom of your glutes are tied in. Your core looks incredibly tight.
All right, so as you can see, awesome check-in. I was actually really worried because yesterday I just had this weird sudden bloat. I feel like it's probably time of the month, hormone related, even though it's not technically my time of the month. That's the only variable I think it could be, because I slept really well. I didn't eat anything out of the norm. So I woke up yesterday and my weight was actually up 2 pounds. So I freaked out a little bit because I could just tell I was holding a layer of water over my stomach, which is just an uncomfortable feeling. It was also my refeed day yesterday. I woke up this morning, I was a little afraid to kind of weigh in because it's check-in day. I didn't want weight to be spiked even more like it was yesterday, but it had actually come down a pound. So I sent my check-in pictures to Coach Paul. I will also insert them here. So I sent Coach Paul my check-in pictures, and that was his response. So we are hanging tight this week as far as macros go. I still get another refeed today, so praise the Lord. But I just want to get to the topic of leaning down, of kind of talking to you guys about my prep so far, my stats, where I started, where I'm at. So I actually started prep at the beginning of April of this year. So in hindsight, it hasn't been a really long prep compared to what a lot of people usually start prep. They usually have 4, 5, 6 month long preps. So in the grand scheme of things, I started prep back in April. I will insert my first progress pictures that I sent to Paul up here, so you can see those. Now this is about, I would say 10, 11 pounds up from where I currently am now. And I would honestly consider myself at this point to be stage lean. So my starting point was about 10, 11 pounds up from my stage weight. Now, I'm not gonna necessarily share my stage weight because I don't want anybody thinking that this is a magical number. Everybody's number is different, right? It doesn't really matter either what my weight is. You don't need to know that, but just know that I started in these pictures about 10, 11 pounds heavier than I am right now. Now, I would say this was a comfortable maintenance for me. Everybody's going to, maintain at a slightly different spot. Some people have to gain a lot more weight post-show in order to feel good. So it's all going to be very dependent. I'm not saying 10 pounds is the magical number. That's just what worked for me. So as you can see, my starting point, we started beginning of April, and right off the bat, Paul adjusted my macros to 160 carb, 135 protein, and 45 fat right off the bat. Those were my first set of macros the first week we started prep. I did have a refeed at, I believe, 220 grams of carbs as well. So we started with 6 days on the lower moderate macros, and we had one refeed. So we stuck with that. I want to say it was kind of funny, I want to say 4 or 5 weeks maybe. It was a long time because I remember every check-in I kept getting, we were dropping and things were looking great, and he was just like, okay, we're going to keep things the same. We didn't necessarily have a show date in mind when starting prep, which I think is totally okay to do. And I actually, with a lot of my clients, I encourage people, don't get your heart set on a specific show because things happen. You may be ready earlier, you may be ready later. So be flexible with, choosing and picking your show. So we didn't really have a show date in mind. He had kind of mentioned a couple of dates, but also I was moving. I had to travel home for a couple of things, so we had to work around those time frames as well. So about, I want to say 4 or 5 weeks in, after things staying the same, protocol wise. And also I will mention my cardio started at 40 minutes 6 times a week. So we started there, and 5 weeks in, Paul was like, well, there's the show in Oklahoma. I think, we could be ready in time. Sandy Williamson is going to be there. So that's the show we ended up doing as my first show, May 22nd. And I will insert my, I think it's easier probably to see my check-in pictures with Paul. I'll insert them up here right before I competed. Stage shots, I feel like you can't really tell a ton when it comes to my physique. So I'm going to keep the pictures that I insert in this video consistent with just like progress pictures, so you can see the progress pictures, the same lighting. So these are my progress pictures before Oklahoma. I want to say that I was about 2-3 pounds up from where I am currently at now. So my feedback from Oklahoma was to just get a little bit leaner, specifically in my glutes, which is definitely what we figured, right? As you can tell, from my front pose, I was pretty much there. It was just my glutes, my stubborn glutes. So I guess, I will say too, once we decided on the Oklahoma show, my macros did not stay the same from start to the Oklahoma show. They ended up going down. We stayed above 100 carbs the whole time, but we definitely did get lower for me. Definitely had some rough, days where energy was low, and I was just like, oh, dang, this is tough. Those normal prep feels, right? And cardio, definitely got higher as well. We had a couple of like double cardio days, but very temporary, right? Very temporary before my show. So then let's get to the fun stuff. After Oklahoma, we received my feedback that I needed to lean out my glutes. Paul and I discussed it right after the show. He was like, I think you should do Battle of the Bodies, Janet's show. And I'm like, I'm all on board. I would love that. But granted, May 22nd, all the way to July 31st, when you're already almost pretty much stage lean, that's a long time, right? So we got to have some fun post-show, and he actually brought my macros up. So immediately post-show, I took my intuitive day, and then I got right back on track when I got home. He bumped my macros back to where they actually had started when we started prep, back to that 160 carb range. We stayed there for like a couple days, and then my weight kind of just stayed the same, even dropped a little bit. And I remember I would see Paul in person because I will go into the Pro Physique studio every once in a while. And he kept just saying like, what's your weight doing? And I was like, oh, I dropped. And he was like, okay, add in 15 extra grams of carbs. So we slowly worked our way up, and then for a while we sat around that 220 grams of carbs range. And he actually brought my cardio down to 30 minutes 6 times a week, which was super manageable for me. So I will increase a set of progress pictures up here as well in that time frame, kind of between where I'm at now and May 22nd. So as you can see, I pretty much looked the same as I did before I went into my Oklahoma show. I pretty much maintained that same physique. As of a couple weeks ago, Paul was like, all right, we're going to start, we're going to decrease the macros, and we're going to start, like cutting again, because granted, my feedback from Oklahoma was that I needed to just lean out a little bit more in the glutes. So Paul was like, okay, we probably have a pound or 2 or 3 to drop before those glutes really start to, look lean. Because again, at the end of the day, he cares much more about that look rather than my weight. So, he wasn't really able to give me a definite, okay, in 2 pounds less, your glutes are gonna pop, right? Like at the end of the day, as a competitor, we strive for a look. We don't strive for a specific weight, nor does it matter as a bikini competitor on stage. Like the judge doesn't care what your weight is. So we started cutting, and we started, and it was, he actually brought my macros back down to 160 grams of carbs, which I was like, okay, manageable, but compared to what I had been, eating before at 220, I'd been eating that for a while. I was like, okay, this is 60 less grams of carbs. This is kind of a challenge for me. And then he bumped up my cardio to, I believe it was 60 minutes 6 times a week. So once we started cutting a couple weeks ago, and then ever since then, it's just gradually macros have gotten lower, and cardio has gotten higher. So today I'm taking my second consecutive refeed. Macros are the lowest they've gotten. They actually aren't as low as they had to get before my Oklahoma show. I have about 20 extra grams of carbs that I'm currently eating, but my cardio is slightly higher right now than it was before the Oklahoma show. But I am the type of person who would prefer more cardio and being able to eat more. So I sent my check-in to Paul this morning, as you guys saw, and he says I'm right about there, so I'm super excited. This is the last week before peak week. I don't know if I already said I would insert my progress pictures from this morning, but if I didn't, I'll insert them here. But super excited for this show. So, touching more on the topic of leaning out my glutes, that is my one area that I have really just kind of struggled with so far this prep. Every competitor has that one area. For some competitors, it's their core. For a lot of competitors, it's that glute hamstring tie-in. For me, that is the last spot where any percentage of body fat is going to come off of me. It's going to be my glutes and my hamstrings. And I've had to get, a little uncomfortable in order to achieve that level of leanness in my glutes, I feel like I'm tiny everywhere else, but my glutes, it's like they're still holding on to just a little extra something. So, it's that like kind of fear of, oh, I'm going to be too small, but then it's like, okay, my glutes still need to come down. But that is the last area that has really come down for me. And at the end of the day, I know as a competitor, the more muscle I hold on my glutes, the easier it's going to be to lean those out over time. So I know that when I eventually jump into an improvement season, whether it's after this next show or I do, a couple of other shows, I don't know, I am going to go into that season with an emphasis on building my glutes, because the more muscle you have, I don't want to say the easier it is to lean out, but I probably won't have to get as small everywhere elsewhere on my body to lean out my glutes, if that makes sense. So that would be the overall goal. I definitely know that going into my improvement season, my glutes are going to be what I really hammer and what I really try and just build, so that the next go around, I can step on stage at a higher weight and not have to get as small everywhere else in order to lean out my glutes. So can you spot reduce? Absolutely not. Again, every competitor has that one area that's just like the hardest to bring in. And the glutes, the hamstring tie-in just happened to be mine. So I'm really excited to see what this package, what we can do at Janet's Battle of the Bodies, what this package, kind of rewards me, what happens, outcome-wise. Regardless, I know that I've made improvements since my Oklahoma show. I'm gonna put a side-by-side of just my glutes up here from Oklahoma to today's check-in, and it's already an improvement within itself, which really makes me super happy. So I already know that I've kind of, it's a mini win right there. So regardless of the outcome, of course I want to do well. I do know that I have brought definitely an improved package. So again, we are 12 weeks out. I was going to say 12 weeks out. We are 12 days out as of today. I wanted to just kind of make this sit down video to give you guys a rundown of my prep so far. It's definitely not been linear, right? We cut calories, we increased macros up until my May 22nd show, and then we hit that period of like 5 weeks where Paul brought my macros up, decreased cardio, and I maintained my stage weight at Oklahoma for about 5 weeks. And then ever since then, we've slowly tapered things back down, getting more aggressive with, macros, bringing cardio back up, and now I'm sitting almost probably where I'm gonna be for my stage weight. So I'm excited to continue in sharing this journey with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this little sit down video. I hope it wasn't too boring. As always, stay tuned for more exciting videos to come, especially as I enter my peak week, and I will be documenting show day as well and show weekend. So thank you guys for watching. If you have made it this far, please like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video.